March the 18th, local elections are coming up. Your chance to vote to decide what is happening in Eindhoven. Eva de Bruijn of GroenLinks-PvdA, the fractieleider there. Diversity was something that you find is something that is very important. We did an interview before and I said, is it something for all men with grey hair or is it something for people with a young age and then have an ambition in politics?
Well, actually, it should be for everyone. So it's really important that we have a good representation in politics because we decide about our future and about how our city looks like. And all these citizens in Eindhoven, if you're young or old, or if you're born here, a student, or maybe moved here as a newcomer, we all contribute to our city in our own ways and we all experience the city in our ways. And it's really important that we use all the experiences in local politics so that we make decisions that are good for the whole city.
Yeah. In the past there were some concerns about the number of women in the city. I think that is going much more towards balance. Maybe you have another opinion on that, but then we also have the students, the internationals. Internationals really have a chance to vote and a chance to influence. And there is something to influence indeed.
Well, I think local politics, we decide about how our city looks like. We decide about our future. So it's really important that all voices in Eindhoven, so all citizens that contribute to our city in their own way, also have their voice in politics. And that if we make decisions, that we make that from a diverse perspective. And that's why it's important that many different people get into the city council.
That's a good representation of everyone
Indeed.
who lives in Eindhoven.
Yeah.
That includes men and women. And that was in the past sometimes something that you were striving for. That's better now?
Yeah, it keeps, of course, a challenge. Yeah.
And how about students?
Yeah, well, we think it's important that diversity is, of course, something that you can interpret in many ways. So, of course, the gender of people, but also the different cultural backgrounds that's represented in Eindhoven, the age of people, and of course also students, internationals, and so on. It's really important that they also get involved in politics and let their voice be heard.
Yeah, and then indeed you mentioned the internationals. Statistically, they are not voting in great numbers. That is because maybe they do not yet see the impact of local politics, or they see that it may not matter whether you really vote. They may come from a country where it's a kind of routine thing that you vote for the single party. Is it hard to reach the internationals and get them to vote?
Well, what we notice is that internationals not always know that they are allowed to vote. So you are allowed to vote if you live here for 5 years or if you are an EU citizen and you are registered in Eindhoven. So when we talk to internationals, it's often a realization like, oh, I didn't know that I was allowed to vote. And secondly, indeed, sometimes it's not that clear why you should vote. What is the city council about? But the city council is about a lot of decisions for how our city looks like and what the future of our city is. So that is why it's really important that especially also the international citizens of Eindhoven let their voice be heard.
Yeah, there are many things on which the local council can make their decisions. It's not just everything coming from The Hague.
Indeed.
Can you give some examples on that? Because there are quite a number of things in your program.
Yeah, indeed, and also numbers like topics that are really important for internationals. I think lots of people struggle with finding affordable housing. It's like when you come to Eindhoven, it's like the first challenge you actually encounter. And as a municipality, you actually can take action to build affordable houses, but also to fight landlords that are like profiting for people. Secondly, it's about how our neighborhoods look like. So if you live in a green and healthy neighborhood with space for bikes, pedestrians, public transport, and so on, how close you live by a park. And thirdly, it's also about how inclusive our city is, how we celebrate diversity, but also, if you are new in the city, how to make new connections and new friends. So it's really important that the city council also invests in cultures, in sports, in events, and in points in neighborhoods that people can meet each other.
Yeah. Eva de Bruijn, you're giving a bit a list of things which are relevant, which are already recognized a bit. Also the things that your party finds interesting. We will discuss that in more detail, because I can imagine that also things like keeping this region profitable and healthy economically is part of that. Interesting debates there, where your party has a view on, where you play a role as a leader, as fractievoorzitter. But I also remember in 2022 when we did an interview that shortly after that you were nominated as beste raadslid, best city councillor in the Netherlands. Not just in Eindhoven, in the Netherlands. Not just GroenLinks-PvdA. So the question then is, first of all, congratulations with that nomination. But what makes a good city councillor?
Well, I think there's not one good city councillor. It's a really diverse job. But what I think it's important that city councillors know what's going on in the city, can reach out to the different kinds of citizens that we have. So not only the usual people that show up, but also young people, students, internationals, people who don't find their way to the stadhuis, to the town hall, but also translate that into actions, so into making a difference for these people.
So the best city councillor, I could do bean counting. How many resolutions were passed that you were sending in? Or how do you connect, which is much more a subjective thing?
Yeah, I think it's not about the amount of resolutions. So it's about how you connect with people, how you build trust, because people share their problems, ideas, and so on with you. So it's really important that you show that you listen, that you collect all these voices in the city, and afterwards also take action to bring attention to the problems, to come up with solutions, and so on. So it's not about the amount of resolutions indeed, but about being visible in the city, making sure that it's laagdrempelig, so it's...
that you lower the threshold for finding you.
Indeed, yeah.
Eva de Bruijn, you're the fractieleider, the leader of the local department, the local part of GroenLinks, but it's also a national organization. So the question is, are you the boss? Is GroenLinks in Eindhoven in control of what you do here in the city council, or are you part of the central organization?
As local department we are in the lead, because it's really important that we know what's going on in our own city and we reach out to our own citizens, initiatives, companies, and so on. But what is really nice is that we can collaborate with our party in the national government. As an example, there were cuts on the budget for student sports. And we talked to a lot of students who were worried about, is it affordable for me to keep sporting? And what we then did is we worked together with local councillors all over the Netherlands that live in student cities. And we took political action together. But we also worked together with the national parliament member who also had a debate or like political questions to bring this topic into attention. And in the end, the budgets on sports for students, we actually removed the cuts on that, so we could ensure this affordable sports for students. So this is an example that we actually bring these forces together, work together with all these local city councillors that talk to the students in their city, but also have action from The Hague and combine these power or these forces.
Or at least that's the way it works in GroenLinks-PvdA. Many other parties, some of them also with a national connection, others not, and that may differ from party to party. And that's also a thing to understand when voting in the Netherlands. To get internationals engaged, they can vote or they can be on the list. Do you also see an increasing engagement there from internationals, an increased interest in politics, or is just getting them to the polls the first step and then we will see later?
Yeah, well, 8 years ago, I worked together with a lot of international key figures, because we then saw that it was really a blind spot for political parties, but also for internationals themselves, that they were allowed to vote. And what I saw the past 8 years is that also now from international organizations themselves, they organize now the political debates, the activities, and so on. So we see an increased involvement in the city, both from the international organizations, but also other political parties start to realize, oh yeah, this is a really important group in Eindhoven. And what I find important is that not only internationals go to the voting booth, but that we engage them the whole 4 years of our council period. So what we, for example, do is we are hosting events, brainstorm sessions, input sessions, to actually let international citizens share their ideas, maybe good examples from their home countries, but also share which problems they encounter, so that in the complete four years we collect these voices and bring that to the town hall. And I think that's really important. So it starts with voting, but I would like to invite all the international listeners that also after voting, please keep involved and let your voice be heard.
So March the 18th, that's your chance to vote. And of course, that doesn't stop. Afterwards, stay connected. And what I understand is that many parties are reaching out to the internationals, and together the proportion of internationals living in this region is large.
Yeah, indeed.
So you can make a difference.
Yeah.
Eva de Bruijn, GroenLinks-PvdA, thank you very much.
Yes, thanks.